You're watching The Mic Check, on every Monday afternoon at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Should I do the whole typical YouTuber thing? What's going on, everybody? It's The Mic Check today. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button if this is your first time here. We're so happy to have you. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's way too
do the
over
Twitch
the
thing.
top.
Go completely nuts. Oh my God! We get a subscriber? Yeah!
Yeah, exactly. We'll have the subscriber thing take up, and we'll just go insane over the whole thing.
Subscribers!
No, hello, hi, it's the Mic Check, and it's a brand new year, 2021. This year we're starting off with a small intimate group read, but it is going to be heavily focused on storytelling, and that is going to be the main goal. So this is going to last as long as it needs to last. We're probably not going to take up the full 2 hours, but we're going to have some fun with it today. So anyway, without any further ado, let's just go ahead and jump right on into today's script. JD is going to go ahead and start us off. JD, whenever you're ready, go for it.
And we're doing one paragraph apiece?
That is correct. You're doing a paragraph and then you're handing it off.
Okay. Then the elephant's child sat back on his little haunches and pulled and pulled and pulled, and his nose began to stretch, and the crocodile floundered into the water, making it all creamy with great sweeps of his tail. And he pulled and pulled and pulled, and Nathan?
And the elephant's child's nose kept stretching, and the elephant's child spread his little four legs and pulled, and his nose kept stretching, and the crocodile threshed his tail like an oar, and he pulled and pulled. At each pull, the elephant's child's nose grew longer and longer, and it hurt him. Hey, what is this last word? It looks like a typo.
It is the way it is in the book.
Okay.
Think of it as hideous.
It hurt him hideous. Michael.
Then the elephant's child felt his legs slipping, and he said through his nose, which was now nearly 5 feet long, "This is too much for me." Then the bicolored python rock snake. Oh, wait, am I skipping ahead?
Figure out if we want somebody new for that, if that's a paragraph or not. I don't care.
That may only be 3 paragraphs then. Look at that. Starting off strong. We'll go ahead and tie that into the previous one. We'll move on with the next one. Then the bicolored python rock snake came down from the bank and knotted himself in a double clove hitch around the elephant child's hind legs and said, "Rash and inexperienced traveler, we will now seriously devote ourselves to a little high tension, because if we do not, it is my impression that yonder self-propelling man of war with the armor-plated upper neck," and by this, O beast beloved, he meant the crocodile, "will permanently vitiate your future character or your future career. That is the way all bicolored python rock snakes always talk." Russ, go ahead and start us back over from the top.
All right. Then the elephant's child sat back in his little haunches and pulled and pulled and pulled, and his nose began to stretch, and the crocodile floundered into the water, making it all creamy with great sweeps of his tail, and he pulled and pulled and pulled. Is there anybody? Leonard, I guess.
And the elephant's child's nose kept on stretching, and the elephant's child spread all his little forelegs and pulled and pulled and pulled, and his nose kept on stretching, and the crocodile threshed his tail like an oar, and he pulled and pulled and pulled, and at each pull, the elephant child's nose grew longer and longer, and it hurt him hideous. And do we want to go back to Nathan?
That would be me, actually, next.
Or JD? Go ahead.
Well, hang on. Since we've all had a chance to read, let's go ahead and get into the discussion portion, shall we?
Okay.
We can go around this a couple times afterwards, but we've all had a chance to read through this. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about it, starting with the usual, audio or audiovisual.
I believe this is audio-visual.
Do you?
It
Okay.
can be animated.
It can. It can.
That could it's animated.
I
But
would treat it as audio because it's essentially an audio book.
yeah, there's so much description though. It's yeah, it may well not be because it's so descriptive. It's something for the yeah, it's probably just audio.
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that. Theater of the mind today. Theater of the mind. That's what we're going to go ahead and focus on for this one. So we're going to treat it as an audio only script. Reason being is I believe that we established that if it seems like it could be audio or audio visual, it's probably just audio.
True.
Because you're trying to get people to see what it is that you're saying. You know, you need them to hear or to see the descriptions and to follow along with what's going on. So let's go ahead and treat this as audio only, and and obviously the audience is going to be children. So, you know, however you want to define that, but it's children.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and talk about some techniques that go along with reading for children. What are some? Let's go ahead and describe that a little bit. What are some particular descriptive words?
One, it needs to be high energy because kids' attention spans don't glue too well to anything with low energy.
Okay.
I think it needs to be slower.
Slow. I was going to say slowly. Well articulated.
And the words need to sound like what they are. The stretch, the pull, the sweep. There's a word for that.
This type of story, it needs it's if it's theater of the mind, those words do need to be illustrated by how you deliver the dialogue. I agree completely.
Excuse me. Okay, so we've got high energy, but not fast, right? High energy, but controlled, because we want them to see what's going on. And you need to have some action along with it. I think another thing that goes along with that are defined characters. Like you need to make sure that your characters are differentiated so that your elephant's child character isn't the exact same as any other character you have. So I think that that's also an important distinction to pay attention to, is how distinct all of your characters are from each other. They don't need to be like wildly different. You know, you don't need to come up with something, you know, supremely different for everything, but you need to make sure that they are defined. You need to make sure that that one character is different from another, and you communicate that, because oftentimes in these books, they'll be talking, you know, back and forth to each other.
Yeah, and it pays, as a character actor, I can say this, it pays to have something on hand. You know, something
Yeah, a little prop or
creative.
something.
You know,
Yeah, even I think.
No, I'm just talking about a character within itself. Something, having a character in your back pocket is always a handy thing to have when you're approaching something that has multiple characters in it. That way you have something to pull from.
Agreed.
So then let's go ahead and talk about some specifics here. So let's talk about certain points or things that may have stuck out to you guys for specific techniques, things to use. What are let's go ahead and talk about that a little bit. Was there any place in the script that you guys noticed we needed some more or some different kinds of techniques or something being done in the script?
I think what you said, just changing the voice up when the character changes. So like at the word "and" on the first sentence, then you need to go into in my opinion, a deeper voice for the crocodile. Or
Okay.
just something,
yeah. Now the crocodile himself doesn't speak, so you need to suggest the crocodile with your tone of voice. But the elephant's child, you can have a voice. The bicolored python rock snake, you can have a voice. I think what Nathan says, right? They've got to be distinct.
But I think there's also a little bit of onomatopoeia play that's in here, and a few extra things you can add in that you should pay attention to. So, for instance, like the elephant's child sat back on his little haunches. So, for instance, there's a descriptive word in there, little. So the elephant child sat back on his little haunches. Sort of define the fact that the elephant's child is a child. They're tiny. They're compact. They're little. I think playing up to what's going on in the story is really important. So anytime you see a descriptive word, anytime you see an adjective, it needs to have an action to it. It needs to have some sort of passion involved in it, something going on with it. Because that, I think, is a hallmark of telling stories to kids, right? Like, and then the big bad wolf huffed and he puffed. You start building that up, and you show them the story as it's being played out. So I think there's a lot of that we could add into it. So high energy, which let's see, I think another good word for that could be enthusiasm.
Definitely.
So enthusiasm, and but not fast. You don't want to lose them in what's going on. So slow, and make sure your characters are distinct. They have their own different voices, and that we have some sort of play on those adjectives. Is there anything else that I'm missing? Anything else that may stick out to you that we should define here?
I don't know if it was said specifically, but the actions have to be imbued with emotions. So just my next line, the elephant's child felt his legs slipping, and we have to convey that. We have to convey that emotion that he's, that his legs are slipping. You'll hear, because I know what I want to do with that. So you can't simply say, it can't be just he felt his legs slipping. We want to make it interesting, and we want to make it interactive in as much as the listener has to get a sense of that. So emotion, you'll see.
Yeah, there are lots of words here that you can color in all kinds of ways.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All righty then. Well, I think that's really it. The rest of it is sort of just execution of all of those techniques. So why don't we go ahead and just dive right back in?
All right.
What do y'all think?
We'll just read one paragraph and then talk about it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And then
Same
how
order.
about we do this? How about we do this as a challenge? Every time somebody or not a challenge, but a little bit of a mix-up. Whenever you receive feedback on it, well, no, that would defeat the purpose. I was going to say, whenever you receive feedback on it, why don't we go ahead and move on to the next paragraph and see if you can apply all of those there. But it wouldn't necessarily work out quite as well, because some paragraphs include one thing over another. But we'll feel it out. Go ahead, JD, give it a start.
Then the elephant's child felt his legs slipping, and he said through his nose, which was now nearly 5 feet long, "This is too much for me." Then the bicolored python rock snake came down from the bank and knotted himself in a double clove hitch round the elephant's child's hind legs and said, "Rash and inexperienced traveler, we will now seriously devote ourselves to a little high tension, because if we do not, it is my impression that yonder self-propelling man-of-war with the armor-plated upper deck," and by this, O best beloved, he meant the crocodile, "will permanently vitiate your future career." This is the way all bicolored python rock snakes always talk.
I love that character choice for the rock snake.
You started. The thing is, though, it was inconsistent. You started out with a little bit of Russian, because I think we were talking about it before, and then sort of turned it into more of a sort of refined, almost light British.
Trying to do refined British from the beginning, but I can't roll my R's, and that's something that always trips me up if I try.
Yeah, when I was learning to roll R's for Spanish, my mother taught me a tongue twister that was really, really hardcore. I might go ahead and type it out, but the whole thing's in Spanish, though. But
Type it out. I love Spanish. I used to speak relatively fluent Spanish, but now I'm relearning it. So Type it out when you have a minute. I'd love to have it because I don't know how to. I can growl. That's the thing. Most people are that way. You can either do one or the other. So you do the okay, maybe I can't.
But anyway, so that was my one big note. I thought everything else was pretty solid, at least for my ear. But my one big note was that your accent with the bicolored python rock snake was not consistent. Does anybody else have anything?
That's fair.
It seemed just a little fast
Okay.
because I wasn't quite keeping up with it.
My general feel is that the narrator was a little too much in the action as opposed to describing the action. And I'm curious what the rest of you think about that.
Okay.
My personal opinion is that's fine when it comes to a child's script. Like that's kind of something you want.
Yeah. Unlike the commercial thing where, I mean, if you're selling dog food, it's a little bit different than reading something to children. I mean, in a sense, the narrator for a children's story is just as much a character as the rest of the characters.
Okay.
I guess it kind of depends on the narrator themselves, on who's actually doing the narration. Because some people could pull it off, some people can't. But you don't feel it was right here in this situation?
I don't know about right or wrong. It's just that I would have chosen differently. So that's why I also asked what the rest of you thought about it.
Okay. Well, yeah, my opinion is I think in a child's script, that's perfectly fine. Totally acceptable. But anyway, why don't you go ahead and tighten up that accent and give it another go?
Then the elephant's child felt his legs slipping, and he said through his nose, which was now nearly 5 feet long, "This is too much for me." Then the bicolored python rock snake came down from the bank and knotted himself in a double clove hitch round the elephant child's hind legs and said, "Rash and inexperienced traveler, we will now seriously devote ourselves to a little high tension, because if we do not, it is my impression that yonder self-propelling man of war with the armor-plated upper deck, and by this, O best beloved, he meant the crocodile, will permanently vitiate your future career." That is the way all bicolored python rock snakes always talk. I slightly changed the accent to make it a little easier.
Yes, he sounded like a good rabbi. Rabbi Rocksnake, how are you doing today?
Rock snake. I hope I did a little better that time for that. Anyway,
It was the consistency of the accent was much better that time for sure. What did everybody else think?
tongue tripping, but okay, good.
Oh yeah.
I wish I could roll my R's because this, for my interpretation of that character, he would definitely roll his R's.
The last line didn't seem to have much finality. It just like
Kind of like the last line delivered like almost with a shrug. Smile and a shrug.
Yeah, he did so good on the rest of it. I think he kind of just gave it up on the last line a little bit.
Okay. That is the way all bicolored python rock snakes always talk. Just like matter of fact, sort of better.
Yeah, it is a matter of fact thing to me.
Okay. I think, well, for my purposes anyway, I just overemphasized things on it and I broke it up, and I don't think that worked. I don't think that worked.
Did some places, and some places a little bit didn't, but
Okay.
overall it's really good though.
Cool.
All right, give us another go.
What was that?
Give us another read. Go for it.
Another read. Then the elephant's child felt his legs slipping, and he said through his nose, which was now nearly 5 feet long,
This is too much for me.
Then the bicolored python rock snake came down from the bank and knotted himself in a double clove hitch round the elephant child's hind legs and said, Rash and inexperienced traveler, we will now seriously devote ourselves to a little high tension, because if we do not, it is my impression that yonder self-propelling man of war with the armor-plated upper deck, and by this, O best beloved, he meant the crocodile, will permanently vitiate your future career. This is the way all bicolored python rock snakes always talk.
Or you missed a word. You said one wrong. That is the way all bicolored python rock snakes always talk. That is the way, not this.
That and this.
Somebody's been watching The Mandalorian. This is the way.
This is the way. Yeah.
Well, feedback. What did everybody think?
Aside from that little Mandalorian reference, it was good.
Trying to get in there with the Disney folk.
This might just be me differing on an interpretation,
Okay.
but I would not emphasize the last word, the talk, really at all. So it's the way they always talk.
Didn't I
Always talk.
accentuate always? Because I know I did before, and I did that intentionally. This time I did not.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Right.
the always was accentuated, but the talk was also a little livelier than I would have made it. But that's one word.
That line, I do see that, always would be the operative word there.
Mhm.
I would intentionally, accent. This time I tried to do the line straight across as opposed to breaking it up like I did before.
Mhm.
So maybe that's why I tripped. I think maybe I was thinking a lot during that last sentence too, because
I think so.
a lot of people were, commenting. So I think I was thinking a lot.
Thinking is always a bad habit.
It's a terrible thing to do.
Yeah, it's awful, especially in voiceover.
Mine,
You'll think yourself right out of your best read yet.
Anywhere in acting.
mind is a terrible thing to have.
Either that or you could say a mind is a terrible waste, but yeah,
What a terrible thing it is to lose one's mind.
and just as much of a burden to have it. All right.
Ready.
What do you think? One more take, or should we call it? Have us move on.
Call it. That was good.
I'll be.
Yeah, I think by this point it's just slight little nitpicks. I think in general
Yeah.
the entire read is really solid, and yeah, I agree.
I think we're good.
Alrighty.
So next up was
Yeah.
Nathan. That's right, Nathan. You're up next.
Okay.
So you're starting back over from the top.
From the top. Then the elephant's child sat back on his little haunches and pulled and pulled and pulled, and his nose began to stretch, and the crocodile floundered into the water, making it all creamy with great sweeps of his tail, and he pulled and pulled and pulled.
Okay, opening it up. What did y'all think?
Two little things. One is little. He didn't accentuate that to kind of give us a sense of size.
Okay.
And he didn't differentiate largely when he moved to the crocodile. That's minor, but the little is a little bigger than minor. We were talking about how things need to be, distinct
Okay.
to emphasize the adjectives. So that he glossed over the little. That was probably the more important of the two things.
Okay.
I like the way you stretched the stretch. I like the pulled and pulled and pulled. They all sounded a little too similar. I'd like it to be kind of escalating along the way.
Okay.
Let's see that.
Leonard, you beat me to it. That was going to be my note. I was going to say you could have played a little bit more with that pulled and pulled and pulled. You know, start off low,
Okay.
then medium, then pulled. You know, like really give it a go.
Okay. Then the elephant's child sat back on his little haunches and pulled and pulled and pulled, and his nose began to stretch. And the crocodile floundered into the water, making it all creamy with great sweeps of his tail. And he pulled and pulled and pulled.
He hit them all. He hit them all. That was great. I like
Anybody else? Any other notes? Any reactions? Anything?
Good job.
I'm
Yeah.
having childhood
Thumbs up.
flashbacks of 43 years ago when I saw this at the doctor's office.
Hey, having fun with it. That's the most important part.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I guess then we can safely move on, right? We're all good? Cool.
Good. Yep.
Oh, yeah, it's my turn up next, isn't it?
Aha.
Was it? Yeah. Yeah, it's me. Let's see.
I didn't even write them down.
Yeah, that was one thing I forgot to ask. Who's going to write down, order? Well, we got it. Anyway. Okay. And the elephant's child's nose kept on stretching, and the elephant's child spread all his little forelegs and pulled and pulled and pulled, and his nose kept on stretching, and the crocodile threshed his tail like an oar, and he pulled and pulled and pulled, and at each pull the elephant child's nose grew longer and longer, and it hurt him just. Ugh. I hand it over to you all.
Mike,
Um,
pull.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, I'm
yeah,
sorry. I spoke way too. Yeah, I was.
Yeah,
that was
you
my
needed to kind of pull just a little bit sideways to the microphone because it was
Sorry,
like
let me
popping
offset
like
it.
crazy.
My bad.
We'll fix it in post. Oh no.
Yeah.
No,
We'll have to
no,
do
no, no, no,
something.
no. That is a legitimate bit of feedback. I need to be very aware of my mic setup and of my position. So that is legitimate feedback that I need to take into account.
Yeah, I knew there was going to be a ton
Thank
of
you.
peace coming out. That's why you saw me turn sideways when I was in here because my microphone's like right there. And
Mhm. Okay. Any
Um,
notes on the performance or
but
anything?
on the performance side, I mean, it sounded like you picked up where I left off pretty good.
I like the stretching for some reason. The stretching. I like the stretching. I just
It's stretching. With
Stretching. Hey, stretching feels good. You know, in the mornings you get up, you give yourself a nice little stretch. Yeah, I like stretching too.
Mhm. You just need a crocodile handy.
No, that's for cardio. That's
I
for
don't know if you
cardio.
pronounced that last word
Cardio.
correctly. The way you did it, I'm not sure that. I don't know if
Yeah,
that'd be
the last
acceptable.
word was also for me. Like I couldn't tell what you were really saying there.
Mhm.
Well, the thing is it seems like it's onomatopoeia. It's just a sound
Yeah, it seemed like it was some kind
because
of.
it's definitely not a word. I have no idea what
No,
It just
I
is-
am.
is.
I would buy
Yeah,
intentionally hideous, but said strangely.
yeah, because if you enunciate hideous, and when you're in that position, you can't really enunciate.
Yeah.
But I clearly see it as the word hideous, only hideous.
It's just.
Okay. Okay.
Hi,
I'll
Golda.
change that.
I'm
Hello.
picturing a scene from the Angry Beavers, it's absolutely hideous or something. I mean, that or it's Stampy.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be more aware of how I pronounce that word then. Okay.
I don't
But-
remember if you did this or not, but I kind of like the idea of having the elephant's child pull, pull, pull be in a higher voice, and the crocodile's pull, pull, pull be in a lower voice.
Okay. All right, I'll give that a go.
Like an old.
And the elephant's child's nose kept on stretching. stretching. And the elephant's child spread all his little four legs and pulled, pulled, and pulled. And his nose kept on stretching. And the crocodile threshed his tail like an oar, and he pulled and pulled and pulled. And at each pull, the elephant child's nose grew longer and longer, and it hurt him hideous.
I'm happy.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like the edges.
Better mic technique too. Was I more aware of it? I
Yes,
didn't
you were
cause any
more-
Yeah,
pops.
there was no pea
Okay.
popping at all.
Good. Okay. Because I want to make this very clear. Your mic technique is also very important. So that is a valid piece of
Absolutely.
any kind of criticism that you want to give. Any kind of criticism, mic technique is in that.
Little side note, even if you're using a lavalier, it's possible to do mic technique. Little vocal modulation, yes, but still.
It's possible to do my technique.
Yeah.
Well, the number one thing with mic technique, don't pound on your chest when you're wearing one of those. That's for sure.
Yes.
It's true.
Even if you're playing a gorilla character.
Well, if you're playing a gorilla character and they give you a lavalier, that's not your fault.
Depends on how you're playing it.
Aiming for your
Although I don't know how
puppeteer.
the well, I guess it's a Tarzan thing I'm thinking of. Never mind.
Well, are we
with the lavalier might be a little bit problematic.
Yeah, probably.
happy enough to move on?
That's on you.
Because I don't have anything on that one.
I think it was
I think it was
great. It
good.
was fun.
Okay,
Good job.
then we shall move along over to Russ,
Oh.
right? Or did I call Nathan afterwards? I can't.
It was Russ.
It was
Russ.
Russ.
After
I was
me.
pretty sure it was Russ. Anyway,
Leonard,
Russ,
you said
go
you
for it.
didn't write it down.
Yeah, but with only 5 of us, I can remember.
Oh, okay. You must be younger than me. Then the elephant's child felt his leg slipping, and he said through his nose, which was nearly 5 feet long, "This is too much for me." Then the bicolored python snake came down from the bank and knotted himself in a double clove hitch round, the elephant's child's hind legs. And he said, "Rash and experienced traveler, we will now seriously devote ourselves to a little high tension, because if we do not, it is my impression that yonder self-propelling man of war with the armored plated upper deck," and by this, oh best beloved, he meant the crocodile, will permanently vitiate your future career. This is why all bicolored python snakes always talk. This is the way all bicolored python snakes always talk.
That is the way.
That. Oh, I thought we were saying this in honor of JD.
Yeah. Again with the Mandalorian.
Bicolor python rock snakes.
Yeah, you drop the rock every time.
Consistently.
Consistency is a good thing.
It's a good thing, but not when you're losing a word.
All right.
And I'm not sure if
In what?
the inexperienced got its in. I just full screen this.
Yeah, it sounded like experience to me.
Probably. That's tough. JD made it look easy.
And that snake has a lot of long words in there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they've been pulling and pulling and pulling, so
Yeah.
Now we've got long words.
My main critique, aside from a couple dropped words or whatever, is it felt to me like this is a life and death struggle. The snake was like really awfully blasé and laid back and no urgency whatsoever. And throw in a little more urgency there.
He
like,
seems
okay.
to me more like a wise snake with the way he starts out there.
Yeah, but if somebody's about to get yanked under the water on a moment's notice, you're still in kind of a rush.
I think that's kind of the joke. That
Kind of.
even though it's kind of a tense and tough situation, you have this snake that's really wordy, trying to be all like, yes, we'll just go ahead and take our dear sweet time.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I saw it too.
we're going
Yeah.
to do.
Okay.
Yeah, well, the thing is I think he'd also be a little bit aware of what's going on at the same time.
Mm.
So even though he's being really wordy, he's trying to get everything he wants to say out of the way as quickly as possible, and still sound, like. Let's give that a try, and if that doesn't work, we'll go back to the
So
other
just speed it up a little.
read. Yeah, make it seem like he's trying to be a little bit urgent. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to speed everything
Yeah.
up, but give it some breaths and give it some some rush, a little bit of rushing here or there, just to give it the illusion of being sped up.
Yeah, and you can actually make it urgent without making it faster. Like it's add a little more importance to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would say it needs a little bit of importance because he thinks what he's saying is very important.
All right. That it. Go.
Go for it.
Then the elephant's child felt his leg slipping, and he said through his nose, which was nearly 5 feet long, "This is too much for me." Then the bicolored rock snake came down from the bank and knotted himself in a double clove hitch round the elephant child's hind legs and said, "Rash and inexperienced traveler, we will now seriously devote ourselves to a little high tension, because if we do not, it is my impression that yonder self-propelling man of war with the armored plate upper deck," and by this, O best beloved, he meant the crocodile, will permanently vitiate your future career. That is the way all bicolored python rock snakes always talk.
Hey, you recovered.
It takes some recovering on all that.
Nice recovery.
No, it is a mouthful. Bicolored python rock snake. Although I think that goes or that sort of matches with the way that the bicolored python rock snake talks. It's just too much going on at once. But anyway, feedback. What did everybody think?
One small thing, and that is and by this, oh best beloved, he meant the crocodile. That's an aside, so you've got to distinguish that from your rock snake. You got to bring it out, change it, tone it, make it a different tone or something. And I did a lot of that this time. So just remember that it's got to be distinct because it's an aside.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're flipping from character to narrator back to character.
Yeah. I thought I
And
did
it-
it, but apparently I didn't.
Yeah,
Seemed to
yeah,
me-
I heard a distinction there, but maybe there could have been a bit more of it.
I heard a bit of a distinction there, but when you went back to will permanently vitiate your future career, you
Still
didn't
kinda
go back
narrator.
to the python snake.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Yeah,
probably what it
it's
was. I did feel that a little bit.
It's a juggling act in your mind to go from one character to the next. Almost as though the two are in the same room.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, is that good enough?
Give it another go.
All right.
Right, take it away.
Then the elephant's child felt his leg slipping, and he said through his nose, which was nearly 5 feet long, "This is too much for me." Then the bicolored python rock snake came down from the bank and knotted himself in a double clove hitch round the elephant's child hind legs, and he said, "Rash and experienced traveler, we will now seriously devote ourselves to a little high tension, because if we do not, it is my impression that yonder self-propelling man of war with the armored plated upper deck," and by this, O best beloved, he meant the crocodile, "will permanently vitiate your future career." That is the way all bicolored python rock snakes always talk.
Much better.
Yes, definitely.
Michael's got something.
Go ahead.
I just unmuted. I just unmuted. I will say, maybe this is just personal taste here, but it feels like you're doing really good when it comes to um, the elephant's child and that yell. You really do get into that character and get into it, but the rest of it seems like it's a completely different energy. Like you drop right out of it into this other character. Well, not okay. Other character is not the right description for it, but into this much lower energy state than normal. It really clashes, but I think that's just my own personal taste with it. Me, I would say you could keep your uh you could keep your energy a little bit higher even after coming out of that character. Like that would be my one like major nitpick, but I think in general you did a really good job with all the different points of the story.
Well, it's kind of a turn there, so something different, but maybe still high energy, just different with the high
Yeah,
energy.
see the thing is that cry that this is too much for me. You do a good job at making it sound like, it's almost like desperation. But it's still a high tension situation because you got the crocodile pulling one way and you've got the bicolored python rock snake pulling another way and trying to help out. So there's a lot jumbling on, and I think you could help communicate that to your listener by keeping the energy up a little bit because it is kind of like a tense situation, because he's
Literally.
slipping and then the snake comes down and rescues him. And there's pulling and the snake's like, all right, I have a lot to say for no good reason,
I think all the different words and things, that makes me lose it a little bit. Just because my brain's only got so much thought process.
So
Yeah.
then maybe it'd be a good idea to go ahead and look at the rock snake's dialogue and break it down and simplify it a little bit more. Maybe having like something smaller to latch onto for each different point might make it a little bit easier to go through. Let's see, where does it begin? It's displaying so weird on the phone right now. Yeah, rash and inexperienced traveler. So that's hey you, rash and inexperienced traveler. That's sort of like he's sort of scolding the elephant's child a little bit. Rash and
I
inexperienced
thought you were saying
traveler.
he was scolding us, but yeah.
No. He's just scolding the elephant's child. So hey you idiot, you got yourself into this dumb situation. Rash and inexperienced traveler. We will now seriously devote ourselves to a little high tension. We're going to go ahead and pull you out of this. Because if we do not, it is my impression that yonder self-propelling man of war with the armor-plated upper deck, self-propelling man of war with the armor-plated upper deck is one solid idea. And I think it's too easy because it's so many words to sort of tack that onto what happened before.
Yeah.
So we're going to pull you out of this because, and if I'm not mistaken, that big guy over there is going to kill you.
Mm-hmm. That's the idea.
Yeah.
So I think, trying to keep those ideas in mind, simplifying that down a little bit might help out with all the words that this freaking bicolored python rock snake.
Yeah.
Yes.
The bicolored python rock snake was literally telling the elephant, he's finna end your career.
Yeah. He's like, okay, idiot, you slipped. I'm going to try to help you out.
Watch it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I definitely see him as snooty, though.
Oh, I wouldn't do him that way. I would
yeah,
definitely do.
yeah.
I like the snooty bit,
Got that.
either British or maybe a sort of parcel tongue kind of thing going on.
Well, let's hear what you got, Goldie.
Yes.
Gonna skip me?
This is gonna be good. No.
Oh,
sorry. Go ahead.
No. Just for the python rock.
Just for the python? Okay.
Just for the python.
Rash and inexperienced traveler, we will now seriously devote ourselves to a little high tension. Because if we do not, it is my impression that yonder self-propelling man of war with the armor-plated upper deck, and by this, O best beloved, he meant the crocodile, will permanently vitiate your future career, or something like that. Just for a rough throw.
I like the snake sound,
Yeah.
but the urgency wasn't there.
No, the urgency definitely wasn't there. I was like, just as a rough. I would have to actually do that correctly. But...
Yeah, that snake is actually pretty tough.
A pretty laid back snake at the same time.
Yeah, I was laid back. I was like, I need to speed it up. Rash and inexperienced travel, we will now seriously devote ourselves to a little high tension. Because if we do not, it is my impression that yonder self-propelling man of war with the armor-plated upper deck, and by this so beloved he meant the crocodile, will permanently vitiate your future career. A little more like that. But anyway, back to you.
A little something like that. All right, Leonard from the top.
Okay. Then the elephant's child sat back on his little haunches and pulled and pulled and pulled, and his nose began to stretch. And the crocodile floundered into the water, making it all creamy with great sweeps of his tail, and he pulled and pulled and pulled. Do I keep going?
I mean, if you wanted to, but why don't we go ahead and stop you right there and go
Okay.
ahead and get some feedback going? What did everybody think? Was it storyteller enough?
The pulling didn't seem pulley enough.
Okay.
And that probably
I don't know if it's
Interesting
his face, but it seemed a little bit angry.
Otherwise, it was all right, Dan.
and it just it needed a little more, you know, I don't know. There was like on the pulling side, on the pulled and pulled and pulled. It just seemed like it pulled back on the energy. Didn't have enough
Okay.
behind it to feel like an exciting moment where he's I mean, he's having the nose pulled on his face. So I mean, it's like,
Yeah, get your body into it a little bit. I'd like to see you pulling and, you know,
pulling,
pull and pull
stretching.
and pull. You know,
Yeah.
Okay.
give it a little bit more physication. Let's give that a try.
Read this as though you are animating it, and then get animated with yourself.
Okay. Then the elephant's child sat back on his little haunches and pulled and pulled and pulled, and his nose began to stretch. And the crocodile floundered into the water, making it all creamy with great sweeps of his tail. And he pulled and pulled and pulled.
Oh, that was nice. That was much. That was nice.
Night and day difference. Putting your body into it.
Yeah,
Night and day
much better. Much
Yeah.
better.
And I hate the word creamy in the script. It just starts looking at milk with green leaves in it. I don't know.
It's like coffee. It's just all kind of creamy.
It's very visual. I like the word.
Well, it is
I don't
visual.
know.
No argument.
I know. I keep picturing Ace Ventura in a spiritual creaminess.
Yeah, that was I like that read a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome. Oh crap, I gotta take this call.
No
Okay.
worries. Go for it. Go for it. All right. Up next is Goldie.
Oh, hi.
We're really happy that you joined us, Goldie. Welcome to
I thought I was able to
2021.
So elephant's child's nose. Just pick it up from there.
Yeah, from there through Hidges.
Hidges. Okay. Now that we know how to pronounce that, I was wondering.
Yes,
On that one.
Hidges.
And the elephant's child nose kept stretching, and the elephant's child spread all his little four legs and pulled and pulled and pulled, and his nose kept on stretching. And the crocodile threshed his tail like an oar, and he pulled and pulled and pulled. And at each pull, the elephant's child nose grew longer and longer, and it hurt him Hidges.
You read to kids a lot?
I do sometimes, yes.
Honestly, at the
That's
very, very beginning, it was really flat and dead.
Yeah.
At the very beginning, you were not there.
I
And
definitely
then
was not there.
suddenly you went from like a 2 or 3 all the way up to 10.
Yeah. When I hit that 10, it was like, okay, she reads to children, and she's got that back in her mindset that I'm reading to kids and not a bunch of near middle-aged men in a mic check.
Yes.
But no, I mean, it was just the transition was really jarring. It was
Yeah, I bet.
really jarring. It wasn't even a ramp up. It was just you took the knob and
Switch
bam,
it.
spun it all the way
Yeah.
to 10.
Okay. Would we like something less than a 10?
Yeah.
No.
Go with
If
the
you're
10.
gonna go with the
Just stay
10,
with the 10.
if you're gonna
Okay.
go with the 10, stay at the 10. Just remember,
Uh,
think about the whole situation that's going on. It's a
Yep.
tense situation, and if you need to take a second, it's the elephant's child.
You're the elephant's child. Yes.
Elephant's child. And if it
Yes.
belongs to the elephant's child, it's the elephant's child's.
Yes. Elephant's child's.
Because
Got
that was definitely throwing you off. I could tell that.
Yes. There we go.
All right, give it a go from the top.
All right. And the elephant's child's nose kept stretching, and the elephant's child spread all his little four legs and pulled and pulled and pulled, and his nose kept on stretching. And the crocodile thrashed his tail like an oar, and he pulled and pulled and pulled. And at each pull, the elephant child's nose grew longer and longer, and it hurt him hideous.
I thought that was a whole lot better.
Much better.
There's a missing apostrophe S or an extra apostrophe S in here.
Where are you looking?
And in each pull, the elephant child's nose grew longer and longer.
I see an apostrophe S there.
Yes, but if
Oh,
it's
the
the elephant's child.
Yeah, you're right. It
I
says, and the
see what you're
elephant
saying.
child's. Yeah. Pull the
Let me
elephant's
just
child's nose.
Check
grew.
here exactly. Original says.
I don't hear, but didn't mean to hit that.
Transcription is so much fun.
Let's see.
But
Not a problem, but
What did I miss?
my only issue with that read is the word hideous. I just really don't like the word hideous.
yeah. Well,
No, other than that, no, that was a really solid read, really fantastic read, truly.
Yeah, you are
JD,
correct. The original has the extra apostrophe S in there.
Well, JD, you just missed Goldie. Just knock it out of the park.
Sweet. So is it
Yes.
hideous or hideous or what?
Yeah, just hideous.
it's just
It's just the most unintuitive word I've ever come across. Hideous.
I'll have to watch
I
this.
actually
It's
Googled
such a
that one when I
hideous
was
word.
looking it up,
Uh-huh. And
and it reveals basically nothing under Google. But, well, it actually cites like 3 different books that use it, and it was pretty unclear even reading those 3 excerpts what it really was. And then I figured out it has to be hideous only when you're in that particular situation. You can't enunciate a word like hideous.
Yeah,
Yeah, the thing is, like-
dictionary.com says hideous.
I have never once heard anybody say, use hideous as a descriptor for pain. Like, I never heard him hideous. That just
Well,
seems like a
it's
really,
Yeah, it was
it's-
Kipling.
Well, it's like saying it hurt him
it's
something
fairly
fierce.
old stuff. This is
yeah.
Yeah,
Is this-
it's
It just throws me off. It's just weird. That's all it is. It's
Yeah,
in my
100
opinion,
years-
it's just weird.
100
That's
years from
part
now,
of
the
why
stuff
it's
we use
there.
is going to be the same way. Well,
Yeah, it's true.
are they
It's
thinking?
true. Well, anyway, so we're going to start off with Then the Elephant's Child Felt His Legs. Takia, are you
It is
there?
good to
Would
be
you like to
there.
read for us? Okay. Vincent, would you like to take over? Do you have the script in front of you?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so you're starting with Then the elephant's child felt his legs slipping, and he said through his nose. So you're starting from there. Go for it, all the way to the end.
All right. Then the elephant's child sat back on his little. All right, from the very beginning, right?
No, from the second to last paragraph.
Second last paragraph.
Then
Oh,
the elephant child
okay.
felt his leg slipping
Oh, okay. I see.
to the bottom.
Okay, I got it now. Then the elephant's child felt his leg slipping, and he said through his nose, which was now nearly 5 feet long, "This is too much for me. Too much for me."
Keep going to the end.
Then the bicolored python rock snake came down from the bank and knotted himself in a double clove hitch round the elephant's child's hind leg, and said, "Rash and inexperienced traveler, we will now seriously devour ourselves to a little high tension. Because if we do not, it is my impression that yonder self-propelling man of war, with armor-plated upper deck, and by old his old best beloved, he meant the crocodile, will permanently vi- will permanently vitiate your future career. That is the way all bicolored rock snakes always talk."
Okay. Do we have any inputs? Anything?
Well, one thing you want to do, Vincent, is you want to definitely make sure that you distinguish between the characters as you read, because we've got the elephant's child there, and we've got the bicolored python rock snake, and then we also have the narrator himself stepping out, where in the parentheses, and it's where it says, "And by this, O best beloved," he meant the crocodile. That's you, the narrator, stepping out, kind of, taking an aside to the audience. So we have three distinct characters. We need to hear them. I want to hear them.
All right. So you want me to do the basically that one part for the character and another part for another character, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, we've got three different characters. Well, actually, yeah, three different characters. We have the elephant, the snake, and you, the reader, the narrator.
All right.
I would also add that on the elephant child's line, he's really saying this is too much for me, except that his nose is all being yanked out of shape. So it's like pinch your nose and say, "This is too much for me."
Hey,
So that's what's going on there. It sounded like you were a little confused on what was going on there.
Yeah, it said "B," but not "me."
Yep.
Again, it's because the nose is being pinched and pulled, and he's holding himself by his nose. This is too much for me. So do that. That when you say that line, pinch your nose, even pull on it a little bit. Get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll try it.
Another read.
This. All right, want me to do it again?
Yep.
I'll try to pinch my nose. Like, I don't do that much often like that, like I used to.
We don't either.
All right. All right. Then the elephant's child felt his leg slipping, and he said to his nose, which was now nearly 5 feet long, "This is too much for me." Then the bicolored python rock snake came down the bank and knotted himself in a double clove hitch round the elephant's child's hind leg. Instead, "Rash and inexperienced traveler, we will now seriously devote ourselves to a little high tension. If we do not, it is my impression that yonder self-propelling man of war, armor-plated upper deck, will permanently reshape our future career, your future career. That is the way all bicolored python rock snakes always talk."
Definitely heard the distinction of the different characters. Very good.
Yeah, and he didn't go Mandalorian. That was good.
Mandalorian.
Well, I sounded like a Mandalorian.
No, it's a reference to earlier on. Everybody that would read that is the way would actually slip off into this is the way.
Which is all what they do in The Mandalorian.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is the way.
My biggest critique there is you dropped off the whole aside with, and by this, oh best beloved, he meant the crocodile. You need to say that too.
Yeah. Yeah, you go from being the snake character to being the narrator, then back to the snake character.
So I only had to be the narrator.
You do the narration, you jump into the snake character, and then you jump into narrator, and and by this, oh best beloved, he meant the crocodile, and then you're back to the snake character when you get into will permanently this year it's your future career, that sort of thing.
Okay. I see what you're trying to say. Yeah, I see. Like, I can only do one. I can only do the narration. I can only do the elephant's child, right?
Well, you left out the entire line there in parentheses. That's the narrator telling aside to the audience that, oh, he's talking about the crocodile.
Yeah.
And you need to read it also.
Yeah.
And all the printed words there need to be read.
All right.
Yeah, that's not a direction like in other scripts. This is just a story.
Okay. So I'll go again. Okay. From that middle part.
Yeah, Vincent, do you remember you're talking to children, you're reading to a child. Just keep that in mind so you'll know when you become the narrator, you're reading this to a child. So think of how they're going to hear you.
Had to pretend I'm reading like a teacher reading to school kids in a classroom. Okay. Okay.
Work.
I remember when my kindergarten teacher used to read us stories.
Yeah.
Although I never really got into story reading, I always played with toys. All right, let me see. Okay, let me try this. All right. As a teacher reading to the kids. Okay, got it. Then the elephant's child fell his legs, slipping, and he said to his nose, which was nearly 5 feet long, "This is too much for me." Then bicolored python rock snake came down from the bank and nodded himself in a double clove hitch round the elephant's child's hind legs and said, "Rash and inexperienced traveler, we will now seriously devote ourselves to a little high tension. Because if we do not, it is my impression that the yonder self-propelling man of war with armor-plated upper deck, and by this, oh best beloved, he meant the crocodile, will permanently vitiate your future career. That is the way all bicolored python rock snakes always talk."
All right.
Well, I could clearly tell all the characters and the narrator apart, so that part was well done.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And you remembered that call out? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is another really good script to practice, because it does require you to think differently about how you approach everything because of your audience specifically.
Yeah.
You want to keep kids engaged, so how do you do that? Well, make it sound important to you. Don't go too fast or else you'll lose them. Have fun with the script yourself. Get into it. So, yeah, good call.
Yeah.
All right. Andrea, you're here just in time to read for us.
Sorry, I'm late.
No, there's nothing to
Oh,
apologize
no
for.
worries.
There is nothing to apologize for. Life happens. We totally get it. No worries. But now that you're here, we get to hear your rendition of this.
Okay.
So you're going to read for us. We're going to loop back around. You're going to read for us from the very top, the first paragraph.
Awesome.
Oh gosh. Okay. What is the pronunciation of that word? Hijus? Hijus?
Think of it as hideous, only you're having your nose yanked all out of shape, so you can't enunciate hideous. So
Okay.
it's hideous.
Basically like a Ren and Stimpy-ish type of saying hideous, like hideous, you know how they say Canadian yakmen. I don't know if you ever watched
Okay.
Ren and Stimpy, but you know.
All right. We'll give it a shot. Then the elephant's child sat back on his little haunches and pulled and pulled and pulled, and his nose began to stretch. And the crocodile floundered into the water, making it all creamy with great sweeps of his tail. And he pulled and pulled and pulled. And the elephant's child's nose kept on stretching. And the elephant's child spread all his little four legs and pulled and pulled and pulled. And his nose kept on stretching. And the crocodile threshed his tail like an oar. And he pulled and pulled and pulled. And at each pull, the elephant's child's nose grew longer and longer. It hurt him. Then the elephant's child felt his legs slipping, and he said through his nose, which was now nearly 5 feet long,
You're good. You're good.
Great.
You're good.
much for me.
Yeah, we were splitting up the script into parts.
Okay, sorry.
Okay,
So now we
feedback.
can go through the whole thing.
Feedback. What did everybody think?
Loved it. He was right in there. I enjoyed it all around.
Well done.
I wanted her to get through the last paragraph to hear if she did the, how she just thought.
Yeah, but it would be kind of unfair to have her read the whole thing when none of us have, kind of a longer script too. But I want to keep it fair and balanced for everybody. That's all.
Right voice for this kind of a read. You did really good.
No, yeah.
Yeah,
No, I absolutely
fantastic
agree. I absolutely agree. I think that
Yeah.
that children's stories are like fit very well with your vocal profile, Andrea. But let's go ahead and so any other feedback, anything else, any notes, anything like that? I didn't really notice anything because it sounded like you really got into the character and into the read pretty quickly. It was, I don't know if reading to children is something that you do regularly or if it's something you've had a lot of experience with in the past, but it felt like you got into that storyteller frame of mind really quickly. And that really helped you on this read. It sounded great.
Tips, any notes?
No, just curious. Have you been doing a lot of animation stuff over the last couple months?
Not over the last couple of months, no.
You
My
sound
last
like you've been
animation thing was a year ago.
You sound like you've been at it for a while. Just kind of staying in practice, though. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, weekly meetups will help you out with that.
Yeah.
Go ahead and click the notes
Yes.
below. Come on, join us, please.
Yeah.
But if we want to throw in one little nit to pick
Yes,
there.
Leonard, please.
The first line, make them the little haunches. Say the little like it sounds like it's little.
Oh, okay. On
Yeah.
his little haunches. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just go for it.
Then the elephant's child sat back on his little haunches and pulled and pulled and pulled, and his nose began to stretch. Keep going. Stop. Go. Sorry.
Just
I'm pretty
I've been
happy
out of
Whole
practice,
first
guys.
paragraph.
We've been away for so long.
whole first paragraph. If that
Whole
was the
first
entire first paragraph, then you're done. If it wasn't the entire first
It
paragraph, then
wasn't.
you're not done. Then you're not
All right.
done. Go for it.
Sorry.
Whole
Okay, I'll
first
do it again.
paragraph.
Once more. Then the elephant's child sat back on his little haunches and pulled and pulled and pulled, and his nose began to stretch. And the crocodile floundered into the water, making it all creamy with great sweeps of his tail. And he pulled and pulled and pulled. That's the end of
Okay.
the first paragraph.
Now that we've gone through the entire first paragraph,
Mm-hmm.
What does everybody think? Second time around, read it.
I literally, and this my internal picture in my mind pictured several 3-year-old children sitting around just absolutely riveted.
Yeah,
Wrap
I thought that was
inner
was
child
great.
like that. I enjoyed that.
I think we're all happy.
Yeah,
Yay!
I would have to agree.
I think
Excellent.
so too. Alrighty then. Well, that's everybody. You know?
All of us.
Yeah, well, surprise, surprise. All right. Well, hey,
Well,
thank you all so much for joining for the first mic check of 2021, which is going to be the start of a great year for all of us. I can just feel it. I mean, anything can be better than 2020. Just about anything can be better than 2020 at this point. Anyway, to 2021, thank you all so much for being here. Please make sure to join us. Click that link down below us and just be here with us. It always helps everything go by so much better, so much better, so much, well, not faster, but so much better. It just makes the whole thing awesome. So, once again, thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Take care.
I hope.
Bye.
Join us every Monday for free script practice. You can also find the mic check on Facebook and Twitter. If you liked what you saw, then subscribe for more.